Hello everyone and welcome back to Amity Bloom. My name is Nazy. Today I'm going to be doing a journal process video for you all. I'm going to be journaling in this journal that I have right here. This is not a traveler's notebook journal. This is actually a leather bound journal that I purchased from an amazing shop called Bibliographica, and the artist is Luis. She is an amazing leather artisan. I'm not going to show you in detail the journal cover just because out of respect to her. Unfortunately, she had a customer that purchased a journal from her, and then once she purchased the journal, she made an exact replica of the journal, and to me that just breaks my heart. When someone purchases an item and then copies that item and sells it for profit, it's just morally not right. And when she told me about that, I completely understood why she did not want me showing the journal in detail in the video, because that can be like a free tutorial for someone to copy her work. And so that is the reason as to why I'm not going to be showing you guys in detail the whole outside of the journal. It's just a leather journal, and if you're interested in seeing more of her work, definitely please stop this video right now. Go to her Etsy shop and just look at the amazing journals that she creates. I definitely recommend you to purchase one. I bought one for myself and I bought one for my mom. This was actually a custom order. The one for my mom, I bought it from her shop. This was a present for myself for my 21st birthday. And so I'm just completely over the moon. I just love it. You can already see I've been journaling in it for a little bit, and this guy's gonna get really chunky, but I like that there is ample room to grow. So let's open this puppy up. And so I'll just quickly show you how I've been journaling in here. Very simple. I wanted it to be kind of rustic, kind of bohemian, just very messy stitching, not too much like overwhelming decorations. This was something that I got from the package. She included a little sticker and some stamps and this burlap sack. Well, she stamped a fairy on it for me, and this is a little note that she wrote, "Happy 21st birthday," her signature, and I loved it. Here I just glued on and stitched on some fabric. I wrote there, this is a tag from David that she sent me. Hello, David. And I just used it as a little text spot. Here I just did some collages. This is kind of the style that I've been using for this journal. Not too many, bright colors, more vintage colors. What I love doing, which is what I do with my boho journals, is with a little paper clip, adding little bits of fabric, like fabric samples, instead of stitching them to the page, just paper clipping fabric samples, because it allows you to touch it, to move it, and down the road, I like my journal to be different, have different little bits and pieces. Some fabric. Here on this page, I just did a collage of some scrap pieces of paper that I was going to end up throwing away, but I thought, Nazy, you can't throw anything away, which is why my craft room and craft table is a mess. But so yeah, I just collaged random bits of vintage fabric, and I stitched on this bit of measure tape as like a tab. This is what I also love, just letting bits of fabric hang off from the front, from the top. This page, I went to an estate sale, and I was lucky enough to purchase, let me show you. Where are they? Right here. Ugh. Alright, I was lucky enough to purchase this. It's called Retouching Colors for X-to-Color Prints. And so, actually it was my mom. I went to an estate sale with my mom, and she was the one that brought this to my attention. And when you open it up, hopefully I have enough colors. Hopefully I'm in frame, but you can see they're little. First of all, I loved the bottles that they're in. They're glass bottles, and it says color print retouch color dyes designed for all color prints, and this one's in basic flesh. And so I have different colors: blue, violet, yellow, gray, red. And so I didn't know that these are actually meant for photographs. I thought these were like watercolors, but these were actually for photographs. Once I did a little bit more research, I did some notes, and I tested them out, how they This was just straight on with a little dewdrop. Then I added some water to dilute it. I just said a failed attempt. This color, which one was this color? Sky blue. So this one was sky blue, and I added it on lace, and it inked it up beautifully, and it changed the color beautifully. Up here, this color was basic brown. See, this color that I used on here was basic brown, and as you can see, it looks like a violet. It doesn't even look like brown. So that's why I put basic brown. It looks like violet. And so with this lace, I did a different technique, and then with this lace, I adhered the ink with a different technique. And then I just put on here extra color prints, and as you can see, some of it bled through, but I really loved how it bled through and all of those little details. So yeah, I have a couple pages here that I want to decorate. Here's a folder that I made. Hallie, if you're watching this, this is one of those long folders that you gave me. I cut it in half. I cut it to fit in here, and then I stitched it up. I added some stamps. I opened it up, and I have some decorative stuff in there, but this is one of the envelopes that you sent me. I just made it look a little bit more grungy, and I cut it to size. So thank you, Hallie. So yeah, I have a ton more room to journal. So much more room, but let's start journaling, shall we? Starting off on this first page, I decided to use a journal just as a little bit of support so that the journal wouldn't go wobbly on me. As you can see, it's a really big journal, so sometimes it tends to move around. But here on the first page, I added this butterfly image just to keep with the brown monotone colors. And then on the other page, I decided to make a little belly band with that scrap piece of paper that I had for my stash. And as you can see, the camera was about to do a little shimmy, and so I had to stop it before it fell on my head and ruin the whole journal process video. And so now what I'm doing is I'm grabbing some distress stains that I found at my local Tuesday morning. If you have a Tuesday morning near you, definitely go and check out the new products that they have, because I found a container full of just all of the Tim Holtz distress stain colors, and I managed to purchase a couple that I didn't know before. This was, I think, antique linen. And so I just, with my little dauber, I tried to stain it as best as I could, because, you know, I love making things look old and rusty. And just cutting off the excess. I'm also cutting off a couple of strings that were left over. I put that piece of paper through the sewing machine, and then I decided to just stick it on with double-sided tape to make it look as if it was stitched onto the page. Oh my gosh. Why do I always have problems with glue? Glue just does not like me. So now that you've heard my ongoing love and hate relationship with double-sided tape, but I decided to grab a little piece of lace from my stash and ink it up with the antique linen distress stain just so that it looks a little bit more old. I just noticed, as always, that the camera turned off while I was finishing a page. So the camera turned off here when I attached this. I stitched on a little scrap of lace. And then this is part of those old envelopes that I had. I just had a scrap of it, and I turned it into this. It's really fragile, actually. I think I might need to add some washi, but I can do that later. And so that will just go into this pocket like that. And so I can journal on the back of that, and I can keep putting something else in there if I wanted to. On this page, I was really happy about this page, but unfortunately it didn't show up on camera. But this was a tea bag that my mom opened up. She stitched some pine straw, stamped some butterflies, and on a tea bag, and it was really special to me since she made it. And so I just glued it on here with some glue, and I stamped over it. I like that it looks really rustic and natural, organic, and then I added stamping just along the side. I love doing this, is adding just a little collage of stamping down the side of my page. I think it looks really pretty, and so here I can journal about that. Now I'm going to work on this page, so let's pull out some fabrics, shall we? I'm going to keep my fabrics in this little mason jar. Oops. Let's move that aside. I have this little leaf that I also want to use probably there I'll washi tape it on there. I have this piece of vellum that says my name typed on my typewriter. I really like how it looks, so I can use that. And here I just keep all of the scraps, the little tiny scraps. Yeah, I like these colors right there. Maybe we can add some lace. Yeah, we'll add some lace too. All right, so I like those colors, and so to make the collage on here, make something like that, like a little cluster. You all know I love my boho fabric clusters, and I can't avoid adding one to my journal. What I'm doing now is just adhering a little piece of a button with some fabric glue. You can either adhere it with fabric glue, or what I do with my journals is I usually stitch it, but I just didn't have the patience today. I just wanted to be done with it. And I'm adding some fabric glue on the back of that cluster just to make my life easier. And it makes it look as if you stitched it onto the page, but really you took a shortcut. It's just a really fun, simple, and easy way to add a bit more detail to your journal pages without the extra added work, if you know what I mean. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to attach that piece of vellum with washi, with a stapler, or with this beautiful piece of paper that I was gifted. Maybe let's just cut a little bit off. This is some paper that my friend Louise sent me. I like that. Yeah, I love that! Finally, something is working out well. Okay. And now I am just attaching that little piece of paper with glue and stapling the piece of vellum. Reaching into my stamp collection and just randomly, ooh! Almost had an accident for a second. Now I am just using my little dauber and distress ink in vintage photo to make it look a little bit more aged and to make it look as if it's 100 years old. Here I am taking a little bit of like a Bohemian paper cluster from my stash, just making a little text ball out of it. I am all about and a full advocate for making pockets and text spots in different ways, you know, not just utilizing just one single piece of paper, but instead collaging different types of papers and making a pocket out of it. That is what I kind of want to make as like my signature thing in my journals, is creating text spots and pockets with this different technique and this different style of journal making. It inspires me tremendously. Moving right along, in the pocket, I was debating on which piece of paper to include in that little text spot, and I decided on this tag that has been on my desk for I think about 6 months. So I decided it was time to use it. Now I am antiquing, as I like to call it, the page, just to make it look as if it's ancient. Again, going into my, oh, what happened here? Oh, I think the camera stopped recording as always. Oh, it makes me sad because as you can see, I stamped again. I did a little collage, a downward, like vertical collage of stamps, and then I'm trying to glue down that little leaf that is so delicate, you guys. Like, I will be surprised if that leaf will still be there by the time I am like 60. I'll probably just be the skeleton of the leaf that will remain. Anyway, at the bottom, instead of just journaling in that white space, I decided to stitch that bit of tracing paper with a little scrap of line paper. I just stitched it through my sewing machine just to make it look, as always, a little bit more rustic. At the top, I added that metal paper clip from Tim Holtz, and now I'm cutting up little bits of ledger paper that I had on my desk as well. You know, these little things that are on your desk at the moment, you might want to throw them away, but years to come, they will be treasures in your journal. Alright, you guys, so I just finished all of the pages. I just decorated the pages and I didn't go in and write on it just because I quite honestly forgot what I did those days, so I have to go back and look. I have a little piece of paper where I kind of keep little notes as to the date and what I did, just because if you're really busy, I recommend sometimes just writing down the date and writing down a little snippet of what you did helps you when you do have time to go and decorate your pages, to do it at your own time and then kind of organize yourself a little bit better. So this right here, the camera kind of cut off when I did the stitching, but I just did a little belly band and I added a little piece of lace. And then in there I used a little, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but one of those old envelopes that I use in my junk journals. As you can see, they have this signature. I think they were like a federal envelope, because they have that signature that if you hold it up to the sun, you can see a design on it, which I thought was cool. It's kind of breaking apart, so that's why I'm being kind of gentle with it. So that will help to have some journaling space. Instead of just putting a regular journaling card, using little bits of envelopes, I think that's something cute. And then I also have a ton of these really old vintage stamps that I got from the same estate sale where I got the envelopes. I just love how rustic it looks, and then on the back you can also journal or add a picture, and that goes in there. So that's kind of my vintage mail page. And then here I added a little butterfly to the collage. I'll just write a little poem there. On this page here I did a fabric collage, a boho fabric collage. I was thinking of making embellishments like this and selling them on my Etsy, just already stitched up with buttons, so that all you have to do is basically what I did. Take the piece of fabric, add some fabric glue on the back, and stick it to your page, and it looks as if you spent, you know, so much time decorating it and stitching it, but really you just stitched it beforehand and stuck it onto the page. So that's something fun that you can do. Let me know if you guys would be interested in some fabric embellishments in my shop. Some random stamping. I distressed it just to make it look a little grungy. Here was some vellum that I passed through my typewriter, and I was practicing typing. As you can see, I just wrote my whole name. And I just love how rustic it looks, and how this years down the road will tell more of a story than like a pretty journal card. You know what I mean? And then here is some of that beautiful metallic paper that I used as washi, trying to imitate washi. And then I can journal there. You already saw that. On here, this was a piece of paper collage that I did beforehand, one of my boho collages. And I decided to stick it on as a pocket. And so same idea, same concept. You stitch it beforehand and then you glue it onto the page, and it looks as if you stitched it onto the page, but you didn't really. So I think that's a cute little way to make your journal look a lot more rustic and boho-like without having to take your actual journal and stick it through the stitching machine. And then in there I added a little tag. This page, I just did something random. I wasn't really planning to decorate it at all. Actually, I have a little piece of paper that doesn't want to stick. Okay. And so on this page, I did random stamping. Stamps are your best friend when you're journaling, especially if you want to do this rustic boho style. Stamps are your best friend. I have a ton of stamps. I can do like a stamp collection one day if you're interested. But basically any type of stamp would work. And I use, instead of black ink, I use brown ink, so that it kind of morphs and mixes in with the colors of the page, the brown tones. And here I used, what is this? Oh, what's this called? Here I used some tracing paper and a scrap of some line paper. I stitched it through the stitching machine, and then I adhered it. Here I can journal. It's just a different way. Instead of just journaling on a blank piece of paper, this way it kind of looks a little bit more rustic, which is the look that I'm going for with this journal. Here I added a sample of a leaf, so delicate, I hope it does not break. And then I added some washi on the bottom, and then I added a little clip. On here I will write the type of tree that this leaf fell off from, or you can add the date on there. I can add the date there. So yeah, that's all of the pages that I decorated. Let me know if you guys liked this style of journaling, and I will definitely film more process videos. This was really fun. It wasn't challenging at all. It was really fast. It was really fun because of the style. This style, you can put random bits and pieces wherever, and they will just come in, they will end up looking really uniformed, even though you're using random pieces of like vellum and a tea bag and fabric. But it kind of comes together, which I really like. And then once you write in it, it'll make it look absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I hope that you guys liked it. Let me know if you guys would be interested in the fabric embellishments, like I said, and also let me know if you want to see more of these. And as always, I hope that you guys have a wonderful day filled with peace and love. Bye-bye.